guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's plan with me, we are looking into my podcast content planner from the Simple series, crafting impactful episodes with ease. So I created this because there was a particular format that I was using to create my podcast episodes, as in the scripting part of it, and I realized there might be people out there who need an actual planner for their podcast episodes as well. So that's how this planner came about. So this is what the inside looks like. I'm just going to do a flip through. This is how thick it is. This is what the back looks like. Right? So we're going to go get into it. All right, podcast content planner. Creating impactful episodes with ease. The Simple series by the Marketing Nomad. Now, if you're looking for this book, all you have to do is search it on Amazon, or you can actually search my name on Amazon, and you'll be able to find all the planners that are in the Simple series. All right, this planner belongs to, me. So let's just write my name over there. Now, in every planner in the Simple series, you've got one page where there's a calendar and you can fill for the entire year. Most likely, I'm going to do 2024. Now, there's a section over here. Let me show it to you. Yeah, there's a section over here that you can fill the goal. This can be the goal for the year with respect to the podcast, or it just could be anything, That's up to you. All right. And of course, there is a quote for every single planner that comes about. So this one is strategy for each is strategy for all. This just helps you set intentions. I personally believe that if you strategize for each podcast episode, it's basically you strategizing for your entire podcast. And I think that's very powerful. So let's go on to the first page. Let me walk you through each of the sections. So over here, you're going to add your title. This is the record date, this is the release date. How will this episode help your audience? So over here, you are going to outline how this episode is beneficial for your audience. What is the goal for them? What is the transformation that they are going to be expecting from your podcast episode? Now, the next section is goal of the episode for you, the person who's creating the podcast episode. Or this could be, how will this bring more income to you? So over here, you can add, maybe you want to include a lead magnet, maybe you want to send people to your course, so on and so forth. So this section is for that. There's a section over here for a checklist, like all the items to do, and there's a tick mark column. Over here, there's a brain dump and ideation part, some parts for notes. I personally love this because when I'm scripting, usually there's a lot of rough idea that I want to outline, so this helps me with that. And then, of course, over here, this is my signature method for scripting podcast episodes, or even my YouTube videos for that matter. So what I do is I basically section it out so that when I'm recording my podcast, it goes section-wise. So if you can see over here, this is introduction, and then there are different sections, and then there's a conclusion. This is so that there's a flow to the podcast episode. And hold on, let me actually show you. So this is actually the podcast episode on manifestation that I had done, I think it was about a week ago. So this is how I basically script. So this is the starting, this is the introduction, this is the conclusion, and all of this is just me going in with different ideas that I have, and so that there's a flow to how my podcast episode is going to go. So basically, this entire structure is my trademark. This is how I script my podcast episodes, and I just use the same technique for my planner in the Simple series. So yeah, this is how I actually do it. Like every single episode that you've seen that's come out is usually in this format. All right, so I just wanted to show that to you. All right, let me put that aside. Okay, let's start filling, shall we? Now, the episode that I personally want to do is, I'm gonna write it over here. Let me see if it's coming in the shot. Yep, it is. Okay. How you feel. Oh, wait, no. Wait, it's how someone makes you feel. How someone makes you feel is more important than how you feel about them. So this is a podcast episode that I have coming up. Now I'm going to actually record it today right after I finish shooting this video. So today is November 10th. Today's Friday, November 10th. I want to release this on Monday, so that is the 13th of November. All right, how will this episode help your audience? Okay, so first off, it's going to help them understand that how they feel matters. And I'm going to put that because I want to stress on that. To learn how to prioritize how they feel around someone. And thirdly, this comes under self-love, So self-love. So I'm just going to put that in bracket. Now the goal of this episode for me, how will it bring more income? So I will be talking about my book, Self-Loved, right? So I'm hoping it will lead to some sales over there. I will also be talking about my other book, 0 to 4 figures, and I'm hoping some sales will happen over there. All right? So that is basically how I started to structure it. Now, there's a huge list of things that I have to do. One, I have to script, which I'm doing right now. I have to record. After record, I have to edit the podcast episode. After editing, I have to create the thumbnail. After creating the thumbnail, I have to come up with the description. I also have to come up with a social media post. All right, one is for Instagram. I have another one that I put on LinkedIn, so I need to come up with that as well. And then I have to share on my stories. All right, so that is the list of things that I have to do for this particular podcast episode. Now, brain dump. Let's actually go over what's in my head. So basically, what's most important to me is I want to highlight. I want them to prioritize themselves. That's most important. And prioritize themselves. And for that, I think that they need to have some sort of self-awareness for that, right? Some sort of reflection going on. Right? So that is one thing that I want to hit. The second thing that I want to talk about is reciprocity. I think that that is very important, and I think that they also should learn how to prioritize that. Okay? So these are main areas that I wish to cover in this podcast episode. If I have more brain dumping to do, I'll probably do it here. Now let's get into the sections. So over here, there's the introduction, there's the conclusion, and then there are a couple of sections that I can fill in. Now for this particular topic, I don't know if I'm going to use all of the sections, but we'll see, okay? So basically, introduction, I want to start out with how I came up with the topic, how I came up with this topic. So basically, that's my version of story time. All right, so I'm gonna share the story of what happened recently and why this thought came into my mind and why I thought it was important to share it with them. So that's how I'm gonna start the entire podcast episode. I'm gonna go with the story. In the story, I'm going to talk about, let's actually give it a story. Okay. In the story, I'm going to talk about what happened. I'm going to talk about how I reacted. Was it a positive experience or a negative experience? And what is my conclusion to that? All right, so this is basically the introduction. This is how I'm going to start out the topic. Now, in the first section, I want to talk about the importance of understanding and prioritizing, actually. Prioritizing how someone makes you feel. All right, and one of the reasons is because we tend to neglect, right? We tend to neglect, we tend to make decisions based on how we feel for them. Now, sometimes this is okay. But it's also important to check how they feel. They make us feel, They make us feel so that our decisions are unbiased. This is basically how I script, I can look at this and I can formulate full sentences when I'm shooting the actual video. So that's okay for me. All right, so that's the first section for me. Now the second section I want to talk about is, let's see. So over here we talked about importance of understanding and prioritizing how someone makes you feel, because we tend to neglect that. Make decisions based on how we feel. Now I want to talk about the impact of neglecting how someone makes us feel. Alright, so for me, the impact is that you end up making decisions that is detrimental to your own well-being. It's possible, right? This is a possibility. Yep. Second, can lead to overexhaustion because you're not putting yourself first. So overexhaustion, this could also lead to draining your energy because there is a lack of balance. So as simple as that. All right, so that's the second section, right? Now, the third section that I want to talk about is what happens when you prioritize how someone makes you feel. So for me, I think when you prioritize how someone makes you feel, your decisions are more balanced, right? You feel more secure in yourself because you're putting yourself first. Or at least you're considering yourself. You might not have to put yourself first all the time, but at least you're considering your needs. This is also, there is self-love over here because you are prioritizing your needs, your wants, your desires as well. And I think one thing that I want to stress on, which will be a section on itself, is how you are feeling how someone makes you feel, right? Yeah. How someone makes you feel. Let's just change that. How someone makes you feel important because you deserve to feel good. This is so important. So I'm just going to put that in caps because I think it's important. I think you deserve to feel good. I think that oftentimes we neglect ourselves. We don't think we are deserving. We don't think we are deserving of feeling good. Maybe we think we're a burden. And that's not true. So I want to have one separate section where I talk a little bit about what we deserve and how to prioritize what we deserve. Then the next section, I want to talk about reciprocity. I think it's healthy. It's healthy to have reciprocity in any kind of relationship, whether it's with you and a friend, or you with your romantic partner, or you with your, familiar relationship. I think it's healthy when there is reciprocity. And when it's healthy, it means that both of you are growing together. And I think it strengthens the relationship. Over time. Okay. So in this section, I'll be talking about reciprocity. And if I want, maybe I'll give a story over here. I have many. I have many stories, so I'll probably put a story over here. And then the last section before the conclusion, I think I want to emphasize on I just want to emphasize on all the talking points. And especially the talking point of what one deserves. We each, I'm just going to put a quote because I want to say it as I say it. We each deserve mutually fulfilling relationship. Actually, relationships. We each deserve mutually fulfilling relationships. So I want to put that across. So the conclusion is that there needs to be self-awareness about how someone makes you feel. So it's important to keep checking in. And also, it's about putting, or rather respecting, your needs and walking away from what does not serve you. And that takes courage. But it is worth it. Yep, that brings me to the end of this scripting. So I feel good about this. There's a flow to the entire thing. It's nicely sectioned, so I'm not getting confused after I finish this section and move on to this. So I personally like how this came out. I'm just gonna make this a little bit pretty, as I always do. So let's take my trusted markers. I think I wanna put this as, shall we do orange? Looks nice, though. Okay. Let's make this pretty. For me, my designs are very simple, but I like simple. Like, I don't like to overcomplicate it. It's just to give that pop of color. So that when I'm looking at it, it looks nice and pop, colors pop. Yep. Yep. Can hardly see the orange though. Let's see if I can make it a little bit out. Yep. That looks nice. Okay, I like that. Yep, and we just finished scripting, so I'm gonna put a tick over here. Alrighty, that brings me, this is how it looks. Wait, let me just actually give you a final look. This is how it looks. Yep. That brings me to the end of this episode. Now, if you're looking for a podcast content planner, I definitely would recommend this. You can check out the link in the description box below for more information about the podcast content planner. It is available on Amazon. And yeah, that brings me to the end of this entire episode. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And of course, if you have any questions about the planners or about my planning process, you can absolutely ask me in the comments section below. Alrighty, thank you so much. I will catch you in my next episode. Bye-bye.